Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Tuesday. It's March 12th. It is 2024. We have a 7-game NBA slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Joined today by my good buddy, Stevietpfl. You all know him in the DFS streets as TastefulTides. Tim, what's happening, my friend?
Yeah, not much. I feel like we just talked about like 5 different sports pre-show.
We did.
We should have gone live 10 minutes ago.
We were waiting on the link to get going for us. But yeah, we had a great conversation. Talked some NHL, talked some NASCAR, talked wild NFL day, just in general, and talked some hoops. So yeah, 4 sports. Yeah, it was good conversations as always, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting slate. 7 games, couple teams on back-to-backs, couple lines not out because of couple teams on back-to-backs, and obviously we'll talk about those spots. Welcome to sports betting world, North Carolina. Big day for North Carolina with the launch of, I think it was 8 sports books in North Carolina. I know they have all that information posted up there on RotoGrinders. There's an article about it and how you could take advantage of some promo codes and stuff. So make sure you're checking that out. Yeah, I mean, awesome day. As someone that travels to North Carolina a lot, I'm very excited for North Carolina legalizing sports betting. I'm sure anybody that lives in North Carolina, super pumped. Yeah, should be.
Isn't that where Will lives?
He's in South Carolina.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, but he does venture to North Carolina quite a bit, so he's excited for that. And we were talking pre-show about NHL. Anybody that is in North Carolina that's getting into sports betting, what you need to do is sign up for Scores and Odds or the RotoGrinders prop and pick'em package, and take advantage of the NHL prop model. Tim and I were talking about it pre-show, and I know Tim's on the NHL projections team, but our NHL projections team is absolutely smashing this season. Just having a phenomenal year when it comes to sports betting and just fantasy in general. I think the prop model for NHL is up 53 or 54 units, just a wild number for an NHL season. Like, if you had followed, and trust me, I know this because anytime I get the Scores and Odds like alert that an NHL pick has been posted, I instantly open my app and bet it. I don't even look at what the pick says. I love the prop model. I love what you guys are doing. I don't even read it. All I know is anytime there's an NHL prop, I'm in. NHL betting. Who would have thought? I don't watch the games. I just enjoy seeing the green on my Hard Rock app.
And it had a great year, half a year last year. I think they put it together like halfway through last season, and it crushed last season too. So I mean, it's really done incredibly well, and I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, sign up for it. It's awesome stuff.
And hey, you get all the NBA stuff, as well. So take advantage of it, and welcome North Carolina. I love it. I absolutely love it. I do want to give a shout out. Charlie Wright has been absolutely smashing this NBA season. He got me on the Luka Doncic triple double. And Luka's just he's insane right now. We talked about it on the podcast yesterday, but Luka is on another level right now. Just on another level. Playing insane basketball. He hit 34 fantasy points in 11 minutes. It's just wild. When you think about it, it's 3 fantasy points per minute. It's just absolutely wild. So anyway, wanted to give Charlie a shout out.
Yeah, if that game had stayed close, he would have easily gone for 100 fantasy points. If that game stayed close, he would have gone for 100.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, he had Luka's over 10.5 assists too, and a triple double, and just absolutely smashing it. Charlie smashing it. Good job, Charlie. All right, let's talk hoops. 7 games. A lot to talk about. What's up, YouTube? Hope you're having a fantastic Monday night here. Philadelphia at New York, facing the Knicks. 211.5 total. Knicks a 5-point favorite. Covington and Embiid Melton out for Philly. Randall and Mitrov still out for the Knicks. OG is questionable to play for New York in this one. We'll be paying attention to that news. Let's start here with the Philly side. What do we like here for Philadelphia?
I mean, this game is arguably the two worst teams, like for fantasy purposes, that you could imagine. So, I mean, I guess maybe Maxey at 8,800, just because of the amount of minutes that he's going to play. But I mean, this game's going to have a terrible, terrible pace to it. The Knicks are dead last in pace. They're pretty strong defensively. So this is not a team that I'm going to prioritize in any capacity, unless there's some major injury news. But I think it would be Maxey, and that would really be about it for me.
The other thing is Philadelphia on the season 17 in pace, but over the last 10 games, they're 28th. They've been playing extremely slow with Joel Embiid off the floor. So they've been playing at a much slower pace, and you nailed it. Like this game, the pace of this game is just going to be awful. Maxey's price at 8,800. This is a guy that we're paying over 9K for a month, like a couple weeks ago. He has a little bit of ceiling, but I don't know if he has the ceiling in this matchup for 8,800. So for me in this spot, I'm probably out on Philly just in general. The only guy that I don't mind taking some tournament shots on here would be Paul Reed. I think Kyle Lowry is
I was just
okay.
gonna say Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, I think he's okay. My only problem with like Kyle Lowry is like Cam Payne has been playing really well and has definitely eaten into the production of Lowry a little bit. So I really, for me, I think it's just Reed and like. The problem is like Batum is still playing like 30 minutes a night, and that just the production and the minutes are all over the place. In general, like we did see Mo Bamba start the other night, but it didn't matter. We'll see if that happens again. But I like Paul Reed. I think that's who I would take shots on here. But honestly, I don't know if I necessarily have to play anybody from Philly.
I'm a single entry player. I won't be playing this game at all, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Knicks side. Any interest here in the Knicks?
I mean, I just said that, but sometimes I do have interest in the Knicks just because the mass amounts of minutes that like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo play. So sometimes I do have interest in those guys. I think Brunson does have a ceiling at 9,300, but no one's going to be a priority from this game.
Yeah. If OG comes back, who does it hurt? He's expected to return. It's not like he's not even just like questionable. He's like expected to turn. He hasn't played since January. I wouldn't expect him to play like full minutes here. It was an elbow injury. So I would assume he plays probably in like the 25-minute range instead of like the 35-minute range. But like, is that going to hurt Hart? Josh Hart's been playing at an insane level. His productions went down a little bit recently. DiVincenzo's production is down a little bit with Brunson back. I mean, does that hurt Precious? Does it hurt Hart? So there's too many question marks in a slow-paced game for me to get super excited about playing the Knicks here. I think I'm going to pass on playing the Knicks. Just know, like, just not a great spot. There's a lot of solid spots in this slate. We're going to talk about the Pacers and the Thunder. We're going to talk about Milwaukee and Sacramento. Like, there's some really big games on this slate, fantasy goodness-wise. Washington at Memphis, 218.5 total here. Washington 1-point favorite. Bagley and Livers out. Holmes questionable for Washington. Take a deep breath. Bane, Clark, Triple J, Morant, Smart, Williams out. Pittman doubtful. Goodwin, Concher, and Stevens questionable. So the whole team is on the injury report. I'm somewhat joking because like Gigi Jackson and a couple of these other guys are not on it, but like literally anyway, let's talk Washington first. We'll get into this Memphis situation in a second. Is there anything on this Washington side that's jumping off the page to you here?
Obviously, I think Kuzma is okay, but not a priority. But I think he's fine at 8K. Memphis is another slow team. I mean, they're another slow-paced team. So, not a good spot really for Washington. I think Corey Kispert possibly, like if he draws another start, would be okay at 5K. I mean, we've seen Denny Avdia flash a ceiling from time to time, but again, at 7K, it's really not something that I'm really actively looking to roster.
Yeah, it was the other night that, was the first night we saw Bagley and Holmes both out. We were kind of curious if who would get like an increase, and they honestly played a really tight rotation. And while
Yep.
I don't love the Memphis like pace matchup, I love the fact that like Kuzma and Jones are going to play a lot, and like Colaby at his price point is interesting. Denny, like you said, Denny is a guy that the upside and ceiling is there. He's 7K now. So you might look more in like his point, rebound, assist numbers on the betting side of things than playing him in DFS at 7K than
Would
anything
you
else.
play? Would you play Rashawn Holmes if he starts? If he plays at 4,700?
If he starts,
Just yeah,
probably like because they
yeah,
have been the only concern that I have is like see what Memphis starting lineup looks like because they don't really have a big man.
right.
This
That's what I
could
was thinking.
be this could be like Kyle Kuzma and Gigi Jackson playing the 5 and both teams just going very small with or without Holmes active. So yeah, I think overall for me on Washington, it's probably Kuzma. Look at some betting on Denny, and then I was really Poole the other night just had a really weird game. He got into foul trouble. So there's no recency bias in DFS anymore, right? Like the industry is as a whole is just so much sharper than it was 5 years ago. We would talk
Right.
about recency bias so much 5 years ago. There's no such thing. If a projection model, if Sims are telling you to take shots on somebody, you're going to do it. So if someone's projected for a lot of ownership, so like there's no recency bias of, oh, Jordan Poole only played 23 minutes the end of the night. Well, he got in foul trouble. So maybe he burns some people and he'd be a little bit lower. But I think going back to Jordan Poole is fine here as well.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. But this next team with Memphis is the real the real question mark.
All right, let's go over to the Memphis side. No Williams, no Triple J. Goodwin questionable, Stevens questionable, Contra questionable. Those are the three that we're kind of watching here. If Goodwin sits, Dijon Jaru, he played 28 minutes the other night. He's 5,200. It's a great pace up spot for Memphis. They're getting the pace up bump. Yeah, I don't know what to even think here. First of all, Sante, his minutes concern me because even when all these people have been out, I think, gosh, as much as I hate to say it, I think Gigi Jackson's my favorite here. If Goodwin sits, Dijon would probably be my like top play from this team just because like he's not coming off the floor. It's a 10-day contract, so like he's not coming off the floor. What are your thoughts here on this Memphis situation? It really just kind of comes down to does Stevens play, does Contra play, does Goodwin play? Goodwin, I think, matters the most for me with Dijon.
With Dijon. Yeah, no, I completely agree. If Goodwin's out, I think Dijon becomes a very, very strong play at 5,200. Jake LaRavia, I think, is pretty interesting. But you're right. Like Gigi Jackson, he played 37 minutes last game in a blowout against the Thunder. So like this game, I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. So he's gonna play minutes in the mid 30s, almost guarantee it, barring an injury or like fouling out. So at 5,600, That's an absolute smash play. That's like cash game. That's single entry. Like you should be overweight in GPPs. Yeah. So GG Jackson is a top play on the slate by far. Kennard, did he not? He didn't play last game, did he?
No, he's questionable. Or no, he's probable.
Yeah, he's probable.
No, he played. I'm pretty sure he played last game. Yeah, he played.
Oh yeah, he did. He played 22. He played. Sorry, I'm sorry. He played 22 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, he had been playing a little point, and like they played DeJohn like 28 minutes instead. That game got out of hand pretty quick against the Thunder, though. So
yeah,
maybe in a close game, but do we really? I mean, both of these teams are actually kind of bad.
I think this game is going to be pretty close.
The interesting thing about Memphis is like, of these three questionable guys, like who plays, who doesn't play, how many people do they? I mean, they're potentially suiting up 7, 8, 9. Okay, I count 9. Count 9.
I think it'll be 9.
8 if Stevens sits too, though.
I was just gonna say
Triple J played the other night against the Thunder. Like,
yes,
he's out. I don't know.
I mean, it's gonna be 8 or 9.
I will say, like, Jameson
it's a 1 point spread, Stevie.
Wild, right? Like, it just tells you how bad
you're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to play 3 Grizzlies.
Question in chat is Gabriel over Jameson. I think Jameson has a higher ceiling, just in general. I think Jameson is the better basketball player and has more production upside. I don't know if either one of them get a ton of minutes in this game, though.
They pretty much split minutes last game, like right down the middle.
Yeah, but Triple J played in that game. Lamar Stevens played 30 minutes in that game. Like Triple J's already out. Stevens is, gosh, man, this is yeah. Memphis situation is interesting. The starting lineup. Luckily, this is a pretty early game, and we'll be able to kind of adjust to.
And we'll be skipping the 7:30 game for the most part. So really, this is the first game on the slate.
Yep.
I mean, really.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got the Pacers and the Thunder. 235.5 total in this game. Thunder a 6.5 point favorite. Mathurin and McDermott out for the Pacers. Jalen Williams out or questionable. Sorry, I almost said out. He's questionable. He sprained his ankle. It looked like a pretty bad sprain, so we'll see if he plays in this one or not. How many Grizz are you comfortable with playing? That's really 0 comfortable. I would say, because there's a lot of value at Memphis, depending on who's in and who's out, I would say probably 2 or 3. I don't know if I would go 4 Memphis players on this slate, but the value definitely opens up like a spot we're about to talk about, right? We'll start here with the Pacers. Tough matchup defensively against the Thunder. They're a good team, but like basketball game wise, this should be a fantastic basketball game. What do you like here for the Pacers?
Well, I mean, I think Halliburton's too cheap at 9K. I mean, just for the upside, he hasn't flashed much upside, but he's getting minutes in the mid 30s now. 9K seems like a beatable price. He scored 20. He went 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 20 points last game. So close to a triple double, really. I mean, he's got triple double upside. I think this is a good spot, but it's really his opponent that I want to be playing. I think Miles Turner is pretty interesting at 6,300. That's pretty cheap for him. I think the rest of these value guys, I really have no interest in.
Yeah, Neesmith had a good game against my Magic the other night.
He's so hard to figure out.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just saying he had a good game against the Magic.
Yeah.
Turner's production way down with Siakam. Siakam's production just solid. It's not like a high ceiling like Siakam. If you're playing SGA on the other side of this game, SGA is a fantastic play. We're going to talk about him in a second. If you're playing SGA, I don't know who my favorite run back is, but I think I would try to get at least one because I do think this has that potential of being like back and forth, fair, high scoring type game. I always lean Halliburton. His ceiling just has been a little capped lately, and we really haven't seen like a huge ceiling game from him since the Siakam signing. So I probably look to like Siakam or Turner and save the money and just hope that like one of them have one of their upside type games. Because I don't want to play like Numhard or Neesmith or McConnell. So it really would come down to like taking shots on Turner or Siakam for me. Let's talk about SGA. Just a fantastic spot for SGA here going up against the Pacers. And he's at home. His home road splits, definitely worth noting, averaging almost 5 more fantasy points at home this season than on the road. Jalen Williams being questionable with an ankle sprain. He sprained it on Sunday. So we'll see whether or not he plays or not, because if he's out, it opens up a lot. I think Josh Giddey at 5,600 would play. Yeah. I don't know if they want to play Hayward more than like 20, 25 minutes. So I really think this could be finally like Josh Giddey getting extended run.
Yep. And he's so cheap. 5,600 shooting guard, point guard eligible. I mean, he would be a top value on the slate. If Williams were to sit, SGA would be an unbelievable play, 10-5. Even Chet Holmgren at 7,500. I want to play all three of those guys. Lou Dort, a cheap value at 42. You could play all 4 of those guys. Maybe not on the same team, but they're all viable. They're all viable for sure. I mean, what a spot.
Yeah, if Williams sits, Holmgren's a great play. Love SGA, like Giddey a lot. I think Lou Dort would play close to 30 minutes if you wanted to take a little bit of value here. I definitely have a lot of interest in the Thunder if Williams ends up sitting in this one.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't sit, I have a lot of interest in Williams, and I have a lot of interest in SGA, a ton.
Oh yeah. All right, Houston at San Antonio. 224 total in this game. Houston 3.5-point favorite. Adams, Eason, Sengun, and Whitmore out for Houston. All right. Uncertain situation here for Wemby. I highly doubt he plays. Just came back from the ankle injury. The last time I checked, that game's over. So let's see. He played 31 minutes. Highly doubt he plays in this game. Highly doubt he plays. But we'll see if he plays or not. Let's talk about this Houston situation first. No Sengun, no Whitmore. I'm assuming we see Landell start. Like, do we think Landell starts? Do you think they start maybe Thompson and Jabari Smith? Like, what are your initial thoughts here on the Houston side?
Well, I think a lot has to do with if Wemby plays too, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see. So we know it's going to be Van Vliet, Green, Smith, Brooks. Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be Lundale, but I'm not positive. I can't be positive of that.
Yeah, I would assume it's Landell that starts in this one. He's the guy that usually checks in for Sengun and plays like the backup starter minutes. I think that we see that. All this to say, like, I think if he starts, he's in play at 4,800. But I really like Jabari Smith. I can't wait to get in on his rebounding prop. Like, it's not up yet because it's a back-to-back for the Spurs, but I can't wait to get in on this Jabari Smith rebounding prop. If Thompson starts, man, his rebounding prop will be interesting as well. He'd be a fantastic play. If they go small ball and they play Jabari at the 5 and they start,
baby.
Yeah, if they start Thompson too. Those two guys, when they're on the court together, they rebound at such a high clip. They're great, and like the Spurs are not a great rebounding team outside of Wemby. So, yeah, I think this is a great spot for Van Vliet. I think it's a great spot for Smith, Green, Thompson, Landell. Houston, by far my favorite team on this slate. Like it's not. There's some close seconds, but Houston as an overall team, love this spot. San Antonio plays fast. They don't play a ton of defense. Wemby's questionable. I think this is a great spot to attack Houston. They're missing one of their highest usage players. Like, it's a great spot.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. So, I mean, you're probably going to be playing two Rockets on the slate for sure. Did Vassell end up playing tonight? I can't remember. He was a game time decision.
He played 37 minutes. Yeah,
he played. Okay, because he was a game time decision, midday questionable.
And
yeah.
I just want to throw it out there. Jalen Green's usage goes up 7% when Sengun's off the floor. So don't sleep on Jalen Green against the San Antonio point guards. Like, Jalen Green is a phenomenal play too. He's a scoring prop. I'm writing all this down. Love it. Just absolutely love this spot for Houston.
Jabari Smith only 6,600 potentially against no Wemby would be incredible.
Yeah. Again, absolutely love it. Yeah. And I didn't even take Cam Whitmore off the floor, and he affects usage as well. Let's look really quick. Yeah, taking Cam Whitmore off the floor because his usage is pretty high as well.
Look at Jalen.
35% for Jalen Green.
Yeah, Jalen Green's usage goes up 10.1% with Sengun and Whitmore off the court. That's humongous.
35% usage is what we'd like to see, for sure. So, yeah, really like this spot.
Wow.
I will say, when you take Whitmore and Sengun off the floor, Dylan Brooks shoots more. He's 4,300. Mm-hmm. Good day to target Houston. Let's talk about San Antonio. I mean, we should get the Wemby news pretty early. We might get it tonight. What are your thoughts here on San Antonio? I say Wemby. I meant San Antonio, but we all know San Antonio is Wemby.
Yeah, I assume that Wemby's going to sit, but I can't be positive. Zach Collins would be a really strong play if Wemby does sit. Keldon Johnson, I think, would be okay. Vassell keeps being questionable, so I don't really know what's going on with that situation, but like, keep your eye out for that, because that could mean big minutes for like Sohan or Shea Penny, guys like that, for sure.
It's a hip or something for Vassell, and like it actually sounds like a legitimate injury.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It seems real to me, whatever it is.
Well, if Wemby sits, I think we fire up some Zach Collins at 5,800. Obviously, like, we'd be looking at Keldon and Vassell, Sohan, all these guys, but I think this is a spot where maybe this game goes small too, though. Maybe Landell gets run off the floor and this game goes a little smaller with Thompson and Jabari. Like I said, they could potentially play like Keldon at the 5. So maybe I don't like Collins as much as I initially thought. I like Collins when we know there's going to be like a traditional center.
Right.
Jones would get a bump. But yeah, I think like Vassell, Keldon would be my favorites here. Yeah, I know Grady
definitely.
Dick's having a ceiling game. At least Denver is making a run. Part of our pre-show conversation was me betting Denver live. So I need them to come back in this game. Anything else you wanted to mention here for San Antonio?
Nope.
All right, Boston at Utah. No total in this game because Boston's on a back-to-back and the whole team was questionable. Only Drew ended up sitting with Porzingis, so wouldn't be shocked if they use this game to sit some other starters here. Obviously, I think Horford sits. And then on the Utah side, Hendricks and Markkanen out. Start here with Boston. Tough situation to break down night before. What are your thoughts here on the Celtics?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm assuming Porzingis comes back. Horford sits. I'd have to assume that
I think
there's
one of
nothing.
Brown or Tatum sit.
Oh, well, then you're playing the other one. I mean, I mean that's the end of that conversation. Like if one of those guys sits, you're playing the other one for sure.
Well, because I realistically think we talked about this yesterday on the podcast. Like Tatum and Brown's injuries, like ankle, like the Tatum injury, I think is actually like a legit like lingering problem, and they are on this like West Coast like string of games right now where I think that Porzingis plays for sure, Horford sits, Drew plays, and I think one of Brown or Tatum sit. And I think that's where you would fire up the other one. I think you'd fire up, Porzingis, because like, who are you matching up against Porzingis? Like Hendricks and Markkanen out, Kessler. Collins, I guess. Like it should be a really solid game for Porzingis if one of them sit.
Yeah, exactly.
If everybody plays, let's talk about that scenario. Horford sits. Horford's not playing in the back-to-back. If everyone besides Horford plays, how do you approach the Celtics here against Utah?
I think it's still Porzingis. Maybe Drew Holiday. Tatum always has a ceiling. I'm just worried this game's not going to stay close. So I don't know if I want to spend 10,000 for him. So Porzingis, Holiday, Brown, Tatum is how I'd rank them.
Okay.
When considering salary.
Yeah, you gotta. We live in a salary cap room,
right? I know, and the rest of the slate, So
let's go to the Utah side. No Markkanen and no Hendricks. Collins is definitely gonna be needed in this game to play big minutes. We don't love the matchup. Tough matchup for Utah just in general here. Any interest here in the Jazz?
I'm trying to make a case for somebody. I guess that person would be Collins, but I really don't feel confident about that at all. Maybe Clarkson, just because he always has a ceiling, but I just think this is such a bad spot for them.
Yeah, I always lean Keontae George, and I know everybody that's listening to the podcast is sick of me talking about him, but the shot attempts are way up, the usage is up, the production's up. I mean, he came back from missing that like stretch and played 38 minutes and scored 29 extra points. Like Keontae George is the future guard of this team, and they are just accepting the fact that they stink this year and they're getting this guy minutes. And now they're like getting him minutes and letting him play basketball. So tough matchup. But the flip side is like, it's not like the worst thing ever to play a guy they're just very committed on getting minutes to. So yeah, I really do. I like Keontae George. I think Keontae George, when we're talking about him next week, is going to be like 7,500.
mean, you don't like Clarkson though? Shooting guard, small
forward. Oh, large field tournaments love him because Clarkson, when he gets hot, he doesn't stop shooting.
Right.
He gets that big usage off the bench. Love his new role. Like I talk about like Klay Thompson and like his role. Jordan Poole is another one. These guys were meant to just come out with the second unit and shoot everything. So when Clarkson gets hot, he's gonna score. I like Clarkson more in like pace up spots. I think his ceiling is higher in pace up spots, and I don't think this is a pace up spot. Oh, Denver's making the run that I needed. Let's go Denver. I'm a Nuggets fan. What way to keep me in line here, Derek? He said Joker's going off. All right. I think this is the game of the slate. Milwaukee at Sacramento, 235.5 total. Sacramento's a 1-point favorite. Middleton's questionable, and Murray is questionable. Giannis is probable. Let's talk Milwaukee first. What do we like here for the Bucks?
Wow, 29, 13, and 11 for Jokic. Sorry. I mean, this is a great spot for Giannis and Lillard, right? 11-5 for Giannis seems fair. I don't think it's absolutely necessary given some of the other options. This game is going to depend on the Grizzlies situation. So if we get a bunch of cheap Grizzlies, then you play Giannis really easily.
There's quite a bit of normal listeners to the Morning Grind hanging out in YouTube chat tonight. Thank you all. First of all, I bet you that at least 3 of them can guess my Morning Grind bet with Milwaukee playing Sacramento. Absolutely love Dame. This is a Dame spot. This is a Dame spot. This is not a Giannis spot. I love Giannis. I think he's one of the best players in the NBA. But how do you not love Dame against a team that gives up high efficiency shooting? This dude is gonna shoot 10 plus threes in this game. He shot 13 earlier this season against them and scored 29 actual points. I love Dame. Dame Lillard is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. And again, most of the people in chat that hang out with us all the time know what my Morning Grind bet is. It's already been placed.
Do we have any props on him yet?
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's Dame time. His point prop is 25.5. I like that, but that is not what I'm going to be betting here.
I know you're going to be betting then. Yep. Player threes.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Over 3.5.
100%.
I'll bet it right now. I'm going to bet it right now with you.
Yeah. I also, in the terms of betting, I definitely don't mind the over 2.5 Malik Beasley, depending on the number you can get. Hard Rock, it's like minus 145. It's tough ask, but this is a great 3-point spot. He hit 5 against them earlier this year. He's a fantastic tournament play. If Middleton misses this game again, he's questionable. He hasn't played since beginning of February. So maybe he sits or maybe he plays and doesn't play a lot. I think Malik Beasley is a really interesting tournament play today. We love shooters against Sacramento. I've been talking about it all year. This is a shoot spot, and Lillard and Beasley spot for me over Giannis.
Yeah, it's a great call.
Kings, what do you like here for the Kings?
I just love how well Sabonis is playing. His price never goes up. He's got triple-double upside in every matchup, so he's fine. I think Monk is getting to be too expensive. I'm not crazy about Fox in this matchup. I don't know. The rest of these value guys, it's really just Sabonis for me, to be honest with you. Is Murray probable or questionable? He is questionable.
He's questionable. Yeah, he got hurt the other night. He came back, but he sprained his ankle. So ankle sprains are always worse the next day. That was on Sunday, so we'll see.
If you were to miss, what do you think about Harrison Barnes? Man, he's just so bad.
I think I would take shots upside wise on Herder before I would take shots on Barnes.
Okay. All right.
I mean, Herder put up 49 fantasy points against Milwaukee earlier this year. I don't know who was in and who was out for that game for Sacramento. I know Fox played. Sabonis and Fox both played in the game. I think everybody played. Herder just got a lot of run, though. Maybe we take shots on Herder here. 38 minutes. He shot 10 for 14. He had 6 threes in that game.
That game log for Sabonis is truly impressive. And his price never
wasn't an all-star.
I know. It just never goes up.
The first time these two teams played earlier this season, it was 142 to 143. If you want a game to stack, this is probably that game. I'm like, gosh, this is it's such a good basketball game to target.
It's a 237 total.
I'm building a single game parlay really quick. Like this game. All right. We finish out the slate. Minnesota at LA, taking on the Clippers. Yeah, we go from that game to this game. I'm sorry. That's how I wrote it down. 219.5 total. Clippers a 6.5 point favorite. Everybody's questionable. This is such a bad 10 o'clock game. Luckily, we have 2 games that start at 10. On the Minnesota side, Anderson and Edwards and Gobert and Morris are questionable. Cat is already ruled out. On the Clippers side, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are questionable. And Westbrook's out. Let's start with Minnesota first. Anthony Edwards tries to play through everything. I assume Edwards tries to play in this game.
I don't want to play him,
hamstring injury for Gobert. He missed. Gobert missed Sunday. I wouldn't be shocked if he sits. If Gobert and Towns are out, you almost have to play Naz Reid, even at 7K, because he's just going to rebound and be on the boards and like shoot and be active like so much. Like he's more than a 7K player when those two guys are out. He's going to play too many minutes.
He played 42 minutes last game.
Yep.
He's going to play what? If Gobert sits to play like 37, I'd say. Project him for what? 35. Probably plays a little bit more.
Yeah, like he already saw a bump in minutes when Cat got hurt. But like when you take Gobert out too, like Naz Reid's going to have to play as many minutes as he can handle in this type of game. And Naz Reid is like an active blocker. He's an active rebounder. He scores. Like he's more than a 7K player when he's playing 40 minutes. So I like Naz Reid a lot, depending on Gobert's status. I think Edwards is somewhat interesting as a low-owned tournament play here, just because I think he's going to definitely shoot more with these guys out. What are any other thoughts here on the Minnesota side?
I think it would just be Reid for me. I'm not playing Conley. I'm not playing McDaniels. I agree with what you're saying about Ant, but not for me.
If Edwards sits, I think you're taking shots on like Alexander Walker and McDaniels too.
Oh, yeah. If he sits, yeah.
This would be a really interesting situation if we don't have this news before the Memphis game starts.
Stevie, you want to share that same game parlay?
Yeah. Let me pull it back up. I'll pull it back up while we talk about the Clippers, and I'll give it out. I'll give it out as my morning grind bet here in a minute.
All right.
I just have to pull it back up. Let's go to the Clippers side. George and Leonard questionable. If these guys are out, Minnesota's down everybody. Like, how do we not play James Harden?
You have to play James Harden.
Yeah,
at 8,700. He's lock and load.
Norman Powell would be in play. Coffee would be in play. Like, gosh, it would just start loading up stuff here.
You're gonna have to leave a couple spots open on this slate for this late night news.
But like,
because
it's tough.
You have to.
The Memphis value, right? Like Memphis being the 8 o'clock game and this being a 10 o'clock game, you're really hoping you get like Kawhi and Paul George news really early in the day. I don't think like Gobert news. Yeah, Naz Reid matters, but he's like 7K. So you're already like readjusting like a high value player. But like if George and Leonard sit, like obviously you're playing Harden in that scenario, but like you're also looking at potentially playing Zubac, Powell, Coffee. And those guys are all cheap like those Memphis guys. So then you got to make a decision like, am I playing Memphis or am I playing the Clippers? So it definitely becomes way more interesting spot depending on who's out and who's in and out in this spot.
Yep. No, I agree.
All right. Fun. Just an overall...
This is actually a pretty interesting slate. When I first looked at it, I did not like it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting really interesting slate. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. Favorite play under 5K to go 7X? Who do you got?
Got to find me a Memphis player that I think is going to play.
Always the fun part, right?
I'll go Trey Jameson.
All right. Gosh, injury news definitely going to just dictate this a ton. But one thing that we do know is Sengun's out, so I'm gonna go Jock Landell as mine today. hoping that he gets a little bit more run here. I think at 4,800, he's a guy that can go 7x. Over 8K to go under 5x. Who's your bust today?
I'll go Jalen Brunson.
Okay. We didn't really talk about him, which is weird because like we are fans of Jalen Brunson on this show. Just one of those like slates where, again, that game just kind of stinks. I'm going to go to the other guard in that game and say Tyrese Maxey. Just overall, just not a fantastic game from like fantasy production. Favorite 6x play. Sorry.
GG Jackson.
GG Jackson. I like that. I was trying not to go Dame. Oh, you know who I like? Give me Fred VanVleet a lot here with Sangoon out. I didn't talk about him enough, but I do like Fred VanVleet a lot.
We should have done Jalen Green with his 37% usage.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love the usage for Jalen Green. Like, I just think that a guy like Fred VanVleet's going to fill up like the stat sheet just as much.
Yeah.
Let's get weird GPP play of the day. Who do you got for us today?
There's a team. I'm going to go Jeremy Sohan.
Oh, Denver made it a 1-point game. Anybody that's curious, I bet Denver plus 2.5 live. Me and Tim were talking about it before the show. I needed Denver to win for a boosted bet that I made earlier today, and I was like, I'm just going to double down and take the points. So there you go. The more we like talked about like the spot, the more like I like this guy. I like Malik Beasley as my Let's Get Weird GPP play today. Really good shooting spot against Sacramento. We talked about it already. I think this is a really good spot for Beasley. With or without Middleton, I think Beasley's really interesting here. So give me Malik Beasley as my Let's Get Weird GPP play. Go into the betting portion of the Morning Grind show. Any pick and plays or props that you like here?
Yeah, I'm going through some props right now. Was hoping there was some stuff for Houston, but there isn't. I'm gonna go SGA over 5.5 rebounds on DK Sportsbook.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind that at all. Good rebounding spot against the Pacers. Good buying that. My Morning Grind play today, courtesy of Derek. He's fresh in North Carolina with some sports betting now.
Is Derek from North Carolina?
He is. Yeah, he is.
Wow.
He was talking about it
Congrats,
earlier.
Derek.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Fun stuff. He gets to partake in the Morning Grind betting portion now, so that's awesome. My pick today is a 4-pick single game parlay. It's plus 600 on the Hard Rock app. Over 11.5 points for Malik Beasley. Over the alt line of 10.5 rebounds for Sabonis. Over 8.5 points for Herter. And over 3.5 threes for my boy Dame. Love the shooting spot for Dame. Love the shooting spot for Malik. Sabonis getting that alt rebounding line is something that I always love to do in my single game parlays to boost it a little bit. And I just think overall it's a good spot for Kevin Herter. Good matchup, good shooting spot for him as well. So Kevin Herter, not a guy that I typically will bet points on, but I do like him a lot in this matchup. 10 for 14, 26 actual points the last time these two teams met. So there you go. That is my plus 600 single game parlay over there. And I did bet a quarter of a unit on this one for reference. And because I'm always honest. Tim, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Thank you for that single game parlay. I'm going to tail you.
Yeah, let's see if we can get. Listen, I'm 0 for 1 with New York, I keep saying New York, North Carolina. Brandon Miller had 8 minutes to score 2 points to help me out on Monday, and he decided that he didn't like the North Carolina betting, and he just didn't shoot again. So It's all good. Hope everyone has a fantastic Tuesday. We're back Wednesday talking hoops. Subscribe, like. See you all again tomorrow.